This is Maureen Kafkas, the Brain BS coach, here to tell you about the episode today. In this episode, I speak with Caroline Hoelke about stressors, expectations, and why we overdrink at the holidays. We discuss how to prepare in advance, how to forgive yourself when you don't follow through with your plan, and how you can get resources from her because she works with people who overdrink. Consider this my first holiday gift to you, as I am prepared to do a little series on how to help you get through the holidays. I know this time of year is really difficult for a lot of you, so I want you to know that I've got you. I'm here to support you, and you can reach out if you need anything and there's anything I can do for you. So here we go. Episode number 114 of the Brain BS podcast, Troubleshooting the Brain BS around overdrinking. Do you want more out of your life but not exactly sure what that might be? Are you longing for something but can't quite put your finger on what it is? That is the universe speaking to you, and it is time to listen up. I'm your host, Maureen Kafkas, the Brain BS coach. I created the Brain BS podcast to help people define what success means to them and show them how to get it. I help you to let go of fear and doubt and prepare your nervous system for success. I show you how to understand your own energy and to trust yourself to make all the decisions. If you are ready to go inward and stop looking outside yourself for all the answers, this is the podcast for you. Now let's get started. Hello and welcome back to the Brain BS podcast. I haven't decided the title yet, but I think it's Brain BS bonus tips for the holidays. So today I have a co-chair, Caroline, and I'm going to let her introduce herself in a minute. But we've been sitting here talking about what we think is the best way to help people get through the holidays when it comes to drinking and coping skills and dealing with all the triggers. So we're kind of winging this here, but we think we know what's best for you. And we're going to begin by Caroline introducing herself.
I love that. Thank you so much for having me. It's such a needed topic, I think, at this time of year. Sure. My name is Caroline Hoelke, and I am a Drink Less, Live More coach. And I help women get rid of the shitty parts of drinking so that they can get on and do the fun things in life. Use that mental energy, that mental chatter towards something that they actually want to be doing. So it's really exciting work. And this time of year is a big one. I think that, first of all, fun fact, people drink 100% more during the holiday season, 100%. So if you're coming into the holiday season and you're already drinking a little bit more than you'd like, and you double that, yeah, it's kind of a perfect storm right there. And that's a function of a couple different things. That, first of all, we tend to go out a lot more. There are more social occasions. And there's also a lot of stress. There's a lot of expectations. There's a lot of stress over what I should be doing. And the women that I work with are using wine at night to help them de-stress. So for those of the listeners that kind of have their head down, they're like, I just have to get through it. Like, I can't wait. I spoke with somebody yesterday, and I talked to two clients yesterday. One of them said, I just got to get through it. I just can't wait till I get to the beach and I can just enjoy myself. I'm like, honey, the whole point of this season is to enjoy yourself. And we forget it, right?
And you have this whole time period,
right?
This whole reality before the holiday's over. That's like weeks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but it is common. I hear it all. I mean, I've been guilty of wanting to just get through the holidays myself in the past. I've been able to change my mindset, and it's a much more enjoyable way to spend the holidays. And we're not suggesting that everybody's capable of doing that, nor should they. But these are tips, and this is help for people who would like to make it a better experience and are willing to be a little proactive about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say, let's start by normalizing it, by recognizing that you're not alone if you're feeling like that. I mean, we were raised to believe that it needs to look like Norman Rockwell, and then we beat ourselves up when it doesn't. And hello, it never does. It never does.
Never.
Ever. No. I mean, when I was first married, my husband and I went to 6 different places, 6 different homes, and celebrated Christmas over a 36-hour period. It was awful. I mean, awful. But I couldn't imagine not saying, I couldn't imagine saying no to my parents or to my in-laws or to, I mean, all these people. It was just awful.
Yeah. So it's not just our expectations, it's other people's expectations of us, and being able to set boundaries and limits and make yourself a priority. And
Yep.
this is something that we do have to learn as we get older. And one way or the other, it's either we have to set the boundaries with the kids,
Yep.
or we have to set it with our parents,
Yep.
or the siblings, you know,
Right.
the rest of the family.
Absolutely.
So, okay, so what are some of the things that you do that, so I want the audience to have a place to go if they're like in crisis mode. They drink too much the night before, they feel like crap, they're beating themselves up, they're panicky about having to sit down at the dinner table with a relative that they don't want to be by.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you can offer them as a way to help them that won't cost them anything in the short term?
Yeah. Well, a couple different things. First and foremost, like, I do offer consults, so I'm happy to talk to anybody about any of, anything that's going on for them in particular. I am putting together a workshop right now. Basically, I'm entitling it "Empowering You to Enjoy the Holidays," which is like very counter to what a lot of my clients show up with. They're like, "How do I get through it?" I'm like, let's kind of call some BS on that and say, let's see if we can enjoy it. Actually, how about we raise the bar a little bit? And what's so interesting is, like, to your point about the boundaries, like, a lot of people are very good about boundaries, but there's something like untouchable about this time of year. Like, we can't mess with that. We can't. This is how
Traditions,
we've always
right?
done it.
When it comes to traditions around the holidays, yeah, that's a big, yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. And so, like, our inner wisdom gets blocked because we're conditioned to do things a certain way. And it's like, oh my God, I can't touch that. Like, whatever. Um, and so other things that we can do. There is definitely a pause. There is recognizing, and I know you talk a lot about managing our mind and like questioning some of the things that come up. Like, let's separate out the math from the drama. And let's say, like, so your example was the, relative who you don't like.
Yeah.
If we look at that as, it going in. And here's the thing, like, these holidays are very predictable. We know pretty much what we're going to eat. We know who's going to be there. We know who's going to, push our buttons. We know that so and so is going to end up crying or upset, and sometimes that's me. Like, it's kind of predictable, actually. And it's so funny when we think about it. Like, why am I surprised? Like, I knew this was going to happen.
And I mean, this is a Brain BS podcast, and we're all about living consciously. Basically, when we're anticipating that, we're creating that.
Well, yeah.
So if they work with you before the holiday, then they can learn that there's a whole different way to approach it. Just because it's always been this way,
absolutely,
doesn't mean it always has to stay that way.
Absolutely. And that is definitely something that I work with very consciously with my clients, is visualization, is the mental rehearsal. So that can be, and I'm such a big fan of this, like, athletes do it. This isn't like some woo-woo kind of a thing. Athletes do it for a reason. You prepare for a presentation for a reason. When you go through this stuff in your head, then you are more prepared for it. Even silly things like, it sounds silly, but even preparing or like practicing what you're going to order. Like, what is the drink that you're going to go order? So if you want to go in and say you want to drink 3 drinks or 2 drinks or whatever it is, and you're just automatically ordering another glass of red wine, like, start practicing ordering, what is that other order going to be? Like, is it club soda in a whatever, or is it non-alcoholic? Is it whatever? If you're going to mix it up, practice that, because otherwise, like, your muscle memory kicks in and you're just, red wine splurts out of your mouth. Like, and then all of a sudden you've had 6 glasses and you're like, how the hell did that happen? Well, when you practice these other things, and that really does help. It helps you set yourself up for success.
Yeah, it's just really about choosing your thoughts on purpose and noticing what they are, because we spend the majority of our time not in that place. It's all just automatic mode, and our subconscious and our old habits, patterns, and routines and stuff. So I think it's really, though, and the whole idea of a drink plan, I think, is also a great idea to have all year round, not even just at the holidays, right?
Yes, absolutely. A drink plan is a fantastic idea. And so when you sit down and consciously decide 24 hours in advance what you're going to do, you're using your prefrontal cortex, which is the executive part of the brain, which is like, that really does have our long-term interests at heart. Most of the time, we don't have a drink plan that says 2 bottles of wine. I mean, it could happen. Yeah, it could happen. But
Maybe
most of the
when
time
we
it
were
doesn't.
younger, right? Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And what I like to do too is, not just set it and forget it. I mean, there is some aspect to that. I find a lot of comfort in like the decision has been made. Kind of like when you go to a wedding and you have to decide what you're going to order, like what meal you're going to have. Are you going to have meat or fish or vegetarian
Yeah.
or whatever? Like you decide that weeks in advance and you're done and you go to you show up at the wedding and you eat whatever they put in front of you. You just do it. You could ask for something else, but you don't. Like, what if you really approached your drink plan in with that same energy? How different would that be? It's like, I already know I'm going to have 2. It's all done. Like, I'm not going to have any sort of drama about it. It's done. The decision's made. I've already filled out the RSVP card. Like, I'm not going to do that.
Do you have something like that? If somebody got a hold of you during the holiday season where they could get a drink plan from you?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
yeah?
I
Okay,
do.
so
I actually have a free stop over drinking course. It's on my website, or I can give you the link, and that's included in there. Or I can just send somebody a drink plan. That's easy enough to do.
great. You have a free
Mhm.
course?
Yes, I
All right,
do.
awesome. So we'll put that in the show notes. But
Mhm.
then, but there's going to be those people
Mhm.
for sure.
Mhm.
I've been that person at times that does not follow the drink plan and over
Yes.
drinks. And I
Yes.
think that's a huge problem that brings us down even more during a challenging time of the year. So
Yes.
what advice do you have if they overdrink and they don't stick to their plan and they're beating themselves up?
Okay. So my view of that slip up is that there's gold in those hills. Like all we have, if we can set aside the self-judgment, which really acts as armor, it really prevents us from seeing anything. If we can set aside the self-judgment and see what happened there, that helps us learn from that. So I think of it as like multiplication tables. You know how you have to like stay with the 4s until you get all the 4s and then you can move to the 5s. Like that's what we do with our drinking all the time. It's like I keep slipping up in this particular place. And when I'm ashamed of it and I can't look at it, I'm like burying my head in the sand or whatever, then I don't learn from it. So I stay there. So yeah. So going back and like viewing that, reframing that slip up as this is gold, this is going to help, then that I think that's the best way to approach it. And a lot of times that's scary to do. And I help my clients do that. So
Yeah. So that's like sort of like when I talk about Eckhart Tolle, it's happening for me, not to me. Right. So it's hard to do that in the moment, but that's the whole point, right? That's what we're here for.
Yep.
Whenever we start to feel really shitty and we're beating ourselves up, there is a lesson there for sure that's hidden. And if we're willing to open up our mind and expand the way we're thinking a little bit,
Yeah.
and we're able to find it, then we can transmute whatever that energy is.
Yep.
We can like evolve to the next level and put that behind us.
Yeah.
And not have to deal with that particular lesson anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So in our little troubleshooting brain BS thing that we're doing right here, is there anything else that you would want to, as I'm asking you about what to add, I'm thinking like compassion and forgiveness for yourself and for the family member who might be the one that overindulges.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that, staying in a place of, trying to stay in that place of love, stay in that place of for love for those around us and for self. I mean, that I find so helpful, really channeling into that curiosity. Like, oh, that's fascinating. Okay, so back to the relative who you can't really stand. Ooh, that's fascinating. I wonder why they think that way. Like, not from a judgment standpoint, but just from a place of like, I'm totally fine where I am. And I'm just curious. Like, I wonder why they think that. I wonder whatever, like,
Yeah.
and you can kind of
Yeah.
play with that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it makes it more interesting versus I picture this, like I'm armored off, I'm protected, I need to power through, I just need to get this over with. Like that energy is very different than showing up from a place of love and curiosity. And I'm okay where I am. And this is, the point of all of this is to be together.
Yeah, because putting on that armor just hurts you.
Mm-hmm.
And it robs you of the opportunity to really open up and expand and to really put yourself in a position to love.
Yeah.
These people, these family members who you want to love.
Yeah.
So, all right, I think that's great advice. Anything else before we hop off here? And we're for sure, I'll put all your contact information and everything in the show notes.
Just one point that I want to make about, because you brought it up a little bit earlier. It's really hard to remain conscious when you've got that mentality of let's get through it, because that is like you're powering through, you got your head down, you got your armor on, you're like going. And there's really no incentive to kind of pull up and look around and be conscious and take it all in. And so that's why a lot of times these things can feel so hard. It's like when you've got that mentality of let's get through it and like get this over with, I need to get to the other side, then just know, again, just to normalize, that's why it feels so hard sometimes. And like these expectations of Hallmark and Norman Rockwell and all that stuff is not helping. When we expect that it's going to look more like National Lampoon's Vacation or Christmas with the blown up turkey and drunk grandma and, all that stuff, then okay, now we're good.
There you go. Well, I can't think of a better way to end the episode than talking about Christmas Vacation. That would be hilarious. Okay, well, audience, happy holidays. This is my first gift to you during the holidays to help you get through it so that it's not the same as it always has been and you can actually start to enjoy it. See you next episode. Thanks for being here and learning about Brain BS. I hope you enjoyed listening to the episode as much as I enjoyed creating it for you. If you did, please take a little time to do a quick review, give me 5 stars, and share it with everyone you know. If you're actually interested in being on the podcast yourself or have questions about it, you can find me in the Brain BS podcast community on Facebook. See you next time.